How's it going, guys? Steven with Break Free Homestead. Today's project is we want to get this beam up where our frame basically is going to sit on. So what we need to do is we need to put our post base in, and then we also need to, there's a couple different ways you could do this to get your joists out, to get your height. That way you know the height of your posts, because these three poured sonotubes here probably going to have each a different height post. So you don't want to get that wrong. You don't want to mess your wood up, especially when you're using pressure treated 6x6. So what we're going to do first is come over here. We're doing a 14x14 edition. We're going to have a playlist of the whole project up here. So make sure you check that out if you're looking to build a little addition on your own house. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put our ledger board on the end of this. It's going to be the same size as this rim joist here that we've replaced. So I'm doing this by myself, so I'm going to use a little cheat and put a little lip over here to hold this up as I put it on. Now this isn't going to be exact. We're just going to use it to hold it because I'm doing this by myself. If you had two people, you really don't need to do this, but this should help us. You could even do a second piece on here to give you a little bit more lip if you wanted to. I'm just going to throw a couple screws in on the other end. That way when I sit it up here on this edge, I can tack that in and make sure it's level. Over there. Or by your car, maybe. All right, now that we have our board roughly just tacked up with some screws, it's nice and level. We're going to mark 16 on center. We're going to mark our joists out. That way, when we use our ledger lock screws, they're not going to be in the way of the joists at all. Don't skip this step. You don't want to be hitting that lag bolt right there when you're trying to get your joists in. So. To secure the ledger board to the rim joist, we're going to be using this ledger lock. These are 5 inches, so it'll get us through the 3 inches of the rim joist, and then this additional 1.5 inch. So it'll stick out on the other end just a little bit, which will be perfect. It's supposed to go all the way through the rim joist, so it's nice and secure. We're going to overbuild it and do it every 10 inches. I'm probably going to do, I have 50 of these, and I'm not doing another project like this, so I'm just going to use all 3 of them. So we're going to use 3 on each 10 inches. That way this is nice and secure, because the only other point that's securing this is going to be our beam over here. So if this collapses, your house is going to be falling apart. So this is going to be nice and secure. Kind of overdoing it, but let's get to it. I just went ahead and marked out where we're going to put these, and then I just drew a line. My studs are right here with the X's, and these are just a regular line. And then it'll be, you'll be able to tell the difference once these are in there. So make sure you don't sink it past the washer there. Oh man, this little 1.5 amp hour battery got all those bolts in, but it is smoked. This thing, that last bolt, it barely got that in there. All right, so if you want to see how we poured these piers, make sure you check out the video up there. We'll try to link it in there, and we have a series as we're building this addition. We have our J-bolt coming out. I'm just gonna place it like this. All right, as much as you want to get everything straight when you lay it out, these were not perfect, and there is a little bit of play as you spin this. So what we're going to do is try to center all of these. That way the beam will line up directly on 12.5 foot out. All right, so we just hand tighten them into place. Now we'll just make sure they're all tight. Just using an adjustable wrench. Right here we have 2x10s, and we're gonna triple it up. So we're gonna get a 4.5 by 10 inch beam. This is gonna be a 14-foot span. We're gonna cantilever a little bit on the end posts, but let's get this together. We have some deck screws rated for pressure treated here that we're gonna get it together, just tack together with, and then we will finish it off with a nail gun, obviously galvanized, hot dipped or whatever, and then we'll throw in some ledger lock screws in there just to finish this off, make sure it's super secure. All right, first off, we're gonna wanna make sure our ends are nice and flush together, which they are. So every different piece of wood has a different thickness, and this one was a little bit off. The bottom, well, this side was all flush when I put it together, but the bottom's not, so I'm gonna be planing it a little bit. It'd probably be a lot easier if you had a power planer. We're just going by hand though, so let's get this done. All right guys, what I'm doing right here is I'm trying to make this even on the top, and it's just not gonna be all the way down. So what we do is we put our screws in the side that's gonna tack it in place where we want those. And then basically you can see this board's a little bit higher than this one. And I put a screw through the top here so you can remove it. And then you just use your hammer and kind of leverage it to pull it down, okay? It might try to twist on you, so you have to kind of straddle it, do some crazy stuff. But we'll get it in there straight. Show you how much you can change it right there. So it's kind of in place where we want it. Nice. Then you just remove that nail or that screw, and then you'll be all set. So I'm going to throw a few more screws in the bottom here on this new one, and then basically I'm going to throw some ledger lock bolts in here, get this nice and tight, and then I'll go back with my nail gun and get those galvanized ring shank nails, and then just get this thing all set in. It'll never come apart. All right, the beam is all done. It's gonna be 4.5 inches, 14 feet long by 10 inches. Should be pretty sturdy. All right guys, so right now I'm trying to figure out how long my posts need to be. So I have to have a junk piece of wood here Gonna set it up, and then we're gonna use our string line, pull it nice and tight. I have this tacked right at the bottom of the ledger board right there. So get it nice and level, mark it, pull it off, get a measurement, and that's what we're gonna use our post for, okay? Another method to do this is if you basically just wanted to mount one of your boards, if you had a 2x4 that was super straight, you could just screw it into there and then get the same measurement from the bottom of that. You could brace it down here. Gonna see how far this 10-inch dual bevel miter saw is gonna be able to cut this 6x6 beam. I have a saw to finish it off, but let's just see how much we can do with this.
I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
All right, so that cut that pretty nicely. I went ahead and plopped the 2 in there. Just put a string level on there to confirm. So we are all set there. I just want to make sure this is plumb, and then if we need to, I just cut some PT shims, and we can make sure it's perfect. All right, so I just got my posts all secured with our coated screws down there, and I went ahead and used a string line to make sure they were all level. So that's all set now. And then I just double verified. I brought over a straight 10x16, and basically it's sitting perfectly on all 3, touching at all points. We can take this off and bring our beam into place. I'm gonna try to lift it by myself, but it's pretty darn heavy, so let's see this. Man, that was heavy.
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot. All right, guys, so I just centered this. All you have to do to do that, you know, it's not that hard. Just take your length of your beam, subtract the outside lengths of your posts, draw a line, make sure it's matched up even on both sides. So I just did that. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna center it on the post, and then we're gonna use these post to beam brackets for this 6-inch. We'll get that mounted up, should be pretty easy, and then we'll get onto the joists.